Great. All right. Well, again, welcome everybody. Let's go around, and if you could introduce yourselves, and then just say what school district you're with, and then pass it on to the next person in whatever box you'd like to choose. I'm Susan Walker, formerly with the University of Minnesota. And I will turn it over to the beautiful and talented Greta.
You're so kind. I'm Greta Nelson, and I am with Cambridge Isani Schools, and I'm a parent educator here. And I also coordinate our early childhood screening program and do some coaching for preschool. You know, it's that fill in to make it a FTE. That's what I do, whatever that is. So I am going to pass it on to Jennifer.
Oh, and I should note, as you introduce yourself, if you have a topic or a question, then I'll take notes on that and then we'll circle back. Thanks.
I'm Jennifer. I'm at Minnetonka ECFE. Like Greta, I wear a few hats, including parent ed and some coaching for our preschool and coordinating, I guess, family liaison for our school readiness program in our preschool. And I don't have any particular questions in mind. So I will pass it on to Yuji.
Thank you, Jennifer. So my name is Yuji. I am a licensed parent educator in Minnesota, and I'm working for a nonprofit in New York City. So I had a question, but was not answered, was not discussed from the week before Susan left, right? So 2 weeks ago, it's about the parenting and the literacy. So how can we help parents who do not speak English to help their children develop their literacy skills, so especially reading and writing. So that is my question, if possible. So I would pass to Katie.
Sorry, my mouse was not working fast enough there. Hello, I'm Katie Anderson in Jordan School District, and I am the parent educator as well as the administrative assistant for our program, and also sub in the classroom when I'm needed. I did it today for a little bit. And I don't have anything in particular today, so I'll pass it on to Laura.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm from SEO Schools, and while you are all piecing together to equal 1.0, I just asked yesterday to be pulled back to part-time, so I would like less to do. It's been a very intense year, but seeing lots of progress. So my question came up yesterday in our parent educator staff meeting. Our marketing media person came to us and wants to do something new on Tuesdays, 2-minute Tuesdays, where we parent educators provide a 2-minute video to families on something. And I would just like your feedback on how you are using social media, and I will give you my bias that I had a physical reaction to this because I don't use social media, so the thought that I have to go record something for Facebook kind of made me ill. But bigger picture, I think there's a lot of really good quality parent education on social media, and I'm not quite sure how what we could do would be enhancing or improving or adding to what's already out there. And I'm really struggling with that piece because I'd rather have less of me and more diverse voices about that out there than me, I guess. So, but I'd be curious to see how you are utilizing that in your district. I have to pick someone. Carissa, I don't think she is.
I'm Carissa Wade in Moundsview, parent educator, also do the fill-in whatever thing. I feel like I always think of something on like Tuesday and then by Friday it's gone. So maybe it wasn't that critical, but also, yeah. Parents are squirrely. Are you noticing that? Like, is it the weather? I don't know. Today's parents were really squirrely and they would not leave at the end of class. We pretty much had to like leave them in the hall and like walk away from them because they would not stop. So my head's still a little spinning from all that anyway. And I know you're not David, but I'm forgetting your name. Because I think you're the only one that hasn't gone.
Sorry about that. We share a computer here at home, so when each of us is on, it flips, and I forgot to look to see if he had switched in. My name is Nancy Trahey. David is my husband, and I retired from full-time work it'll be 2 years in June. I'm continuing on as the parent educator for Albany School District and home visitor. We're not far from St. Cloud. We're in central Minnesota. I dropped the 4 full day a week preschool class that I was teaching. So it's a 0.15 contract, and I'm telling you, Laura, part-time is good. David's wife, Nancy. Yes, thank you. He'll laugh when he sees that. I don't have a question, but I do want to take this opportunity to mention for those of you that are here and anybody watching, and that our school district posted today a full-time early childhood coordinator position. We haven't had a full-time coordinator because previously the person taught in the classroom preschool and then also was the coordinator and then also did ECFE. So we're moving into a new building, and I think there's some shifting. The person that's doing the job now part-time does not want to work full-time. So that's why it's being posted. I think master's is required, but you should be able to find it on our district's website, Albany Area Schools. But just by the show of hands, quick question, because we can deal with this really quick. How many of you, your districts have all day, 5 day a week preschool? Okay. Okay, we have all day, but it's only 3 or 4 days this year. And our administrators felt that we were one of the few left that didn't have all day 5 day. So that surprised me. We had all day care on that 5th day, but not all day preschool on that 5th day. Okay, thank you.
Our preschool, just to we have typical like 2.5 or 3 hour preschool, and then we have a childcare program in our building that parents can opt into if they want.
Right, and that's not what I meant, because we've had
right. We don't have full day preschool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Because from what I understand, we've had nap rest time in the afternoon, and it sounds like administration wants to eliminate that so that it would be all day. It's like, all day, every day.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It'll be a big change for us.
That's a big change. We are halfway through our first year of offering all day preschool, and we have some that are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then some all 5 days. That's our first. And next year we are not doing as many 3-year-olds all day, every day. We're cutting that down. It just been our hardest year ever.
Our 3-year-olds will still have a half day option.
Okay.
4-year-olds will only be able to do 3 day or 5 day all day. There will be no other options.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we have like everything. Like if you want 2 days, half day, 3 days, half day.
Yeah.
Half day, 5 days. It's whatever.
I'm concerned about non-working parents who this is not replacing their childcare expenses. This is, they're at home full time and they want a preschool experience for their child. So I'm concerned about those. Thank you. Thanks.
There we go. Good. Well, thanks for bringing that up, Nancy, and using this group to weigh in. Who knows, maybe once I post the video, other people will comment with their experiences. You could also do a poll, like if you really needed to, like on Friends of Family Education. Anyway, well, we have about a half hour, so we can see how we go. We can kind of split. We have 2 topics to discuss, 2 great topics. Usually, since you have been waiting for so long, so patiently for us to return to the question. Yeah, let's talk about this. So so about non-English, so helping non-English parents who are either they're wanting their children to be able to read and write in English. So is it assistance to the parents themselves?
So we are providing parenting classes to help these parents to help their children. So that is what we are doing. We are partnering with New York City public schools. So they ask us to do this. Yeah, that is why I brought this question.
Are there ESL teachers involved from the school
That is
district?
a very good question. Actually, I just found a ESL teacher, retired ESL teacher. Oh, by the way, this class is taught in Mandarin. So because this group, they speak Mandarin, and I just found a ESL teacher. She is willing to try to co-teach with me. Yeah, but the thing is, there will be other language too, right? So right now they're offering English and Spanish and Mandarin. They said there are 180 languages spoken in New York City public schools. So yes, and that is the current situation.
So is this less about the mechanics of sort of working with parents who don't speak English and having translators and that, and more on the content of
Both, like I really like what the the leader had meeting with us, right? So I really like their strategy. So it's said, parenting and literacy. So the both. My computer. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would spend at least about 20 minutes talking about parenting skills and try to choose the parenting skills related to more relevant to the topics about literacy. For example, the first session is all about relationship, like learning in context for relationship. So the first one is just introduction, and then community building, and then relationship. I introduce this circle community, circle security, and the parenting job, like job description, like parental role. And then the second topic was the science of reading. The brain, how the brain works during reading and the difference between reading and listening, speaking. And then this coming session is about oral language as a foundation and talk about the milestones. So I do like integrate, because it's speaking, it's about a conversation. I integrate like how do you ask questions, when and what question you ask, just about the art of asking. Is basic, and I would like to hear more ideas, especially literacy. English literacy is, English is my second language. So I didn't learn how to study English when I was little. I grew up in China. It was very poor, education about English. So even like till now, I feel like I should teach this class earlier so I could learn English better. But still, I know exactly how difficult if we don't teach children reading and writing is completely different than listening and speaking, right? So if we don't teach children like specific structures, the children will not be able to spell out the word. And so that is still a very big headache for me. New words is hard to pronounce correctly. So I really am thirsty for any ideas.
So
And by the
Eugene,
way, group is 3K to 5th grade.
So Eugene, prior to being a parent educator, I was an English and Spanish teacher, and I did my ESL licensure work. And I work now with a lot of immigrant families who, right now, like their biggest concern around the ages 2 or 3 is about, language development and what's happening with their children. And I haven't stayed up to date on all the research in language acquisition, but I think there's 2 foundational things that to really encourage parents to do. And one is providing a language-rich environment so that they increase comprehensible input in their native language. And that can be done through incorporating like songs and play and all the routines that they do. I think really driving home the use of music as a way to connect and to provide language input is really important. And then second, first language literacy, reading to their child or looking and describing things, not necessarily even with text, but providing those early emergent literacy skills of pointing to the book and talking about it and engaging that way. And really encouraging that first language at home, because a lot of them are struggling with, should I speak English to my kids? And I think all families need to speak the language of love, and that's usually their native language, right? For connection first. And it will come in the schools with the programs that we have. However, I think a lot of parents are also struggling for themselves to develop their own literacy in English and trying to find ways to access that because they can't get to adult basic education or things like that. So the Hennepin County Library system here has classes online that are free that I've encouraged parents for their own learning to do. But I just really think encouraging that connection and a language-rich environment in their first language. At least 20 years ago, all the research would have supported that, but I don't know what it says today.
Thank you so much, Laura. You said the library free classes for parents, and is that like English class?
They have online classes that everyone can access through their websites. So I don't know if in New York what is offered through your libraries for your families there.
Thank you. So is this free class open to people not in Minnesota? Like it's online for everyone?
I could look. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
The other thing that we do offer with our early childhood program is a family literacy class, and that's taught by another one of my colleagues. So the adults are in the adult basic English class while the children are in birth through 5 class, and then the parent education is parent education with language wrapped in. So there is some coordination there as well to support families.
Thank you.
This is more anecdote than any real information, but we were talking about language development in my baby class. And we have one family, mom speaks Korean and dad speaks English. Mom speaks English as well, but and they were just kind of talking about that a little bit. And then there was a dad in the class that said his parents growing up spoke Spanish, but when they moved to the US and had kids, it was all about becoming American, right? And helping the kids learn English. So they only spoke English at home, and he never did learn Spanish. Very, very much now in his mid-20s or whatever he is, wishes that his parents would have spoken to him in Spanish so he could have learned that both, and talked about the trouble he has communicating with his family, his extended family that mostly only speak Spanish. And it was just a really nice story about how, just exactly what you're saying, Laura, how important that home language really is. as an adult? Is it maybe challenging right now as kiddos are learning language? Yeah, but it's worth it.
And I think some families, or I would say most adults, have misconceptions about language and how we learn it. And I mean, traditional citizens in the US haven't been exposed to second language learning to the point of proficiency, let alone becoming fully bilingual. We just don't expect that. So there's just a lot of misconceptions out there. And I think those families, those immigrant families, really need to hear that they're doing the right thing. Like they, by keeping up their language at home, and that they're investing in their child's future. And it all leads, first language literacy leads to second language literacy. So it's the foundation on which literacy in English is built.
Usually, is this helpful for you?
Oh yeah, this is very helpful, and I really appreciate this is the home language. Encourage them. I think this is a question many parents had, had in their, and they intentionally let their children to speak English, right? I feel this is a lot, and if we look at the how to say, the brain development, and when we write, so certain parts of the brain develop, doesn't matter what language you are using, as long as you are reading and writing. And then when your brain develops, and then that capacity to learn other language will improve, right? So I feel this is very helpful. I really appreciate Laura and Marissa.
And they are their kids often, right? Their only connection to that home language. It does fall on them to help their kiddos learn that home language. They don't, where English, if they're in the United States, like you were saying, Laura, is everywhere. Maybe they've got a small community, but to keep that going, because that's their source of that language.
Yeah. And Susan, the link you shared looks really good. I will check if they have Mandarin version. I was searching for Mandarin. I mean, that is struggle. I want to find videos and resource in Mandarin. It's really hard.
We have, I don't think anybody here is with St. Paul, but there's a Chinese immersion school. And and for a while anyway, I know they had an ECFE program at that school. Now, whether or not there was any intersection or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, that site we put on our old Parentopia platform, and it was, I think it's even grown since then. It's nonprofit, and it just has a variety, and it's a great way. I mean, partly we liked it since ESL was part of, the ECFE classes as an offering, but also as encouragement for English only speaking parents to gain some comfort with their children who were learning maybe Spanish in their early childhood classrooms or something like that. So, and welcome, Ellen. We're great. Good to see you. Well, good to see your smiley picture. There she is. There she is. With that cold.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm going home.
Oh, okay. Well,
I know I missed.
No, that's fine. You can listen while you're driving, because we're going to talk a little bit about social media. And this is something that you are very familiar with, and using technology to promote ECFE programs and also parenting education. Yeah, so let's turn to that question from Laura. And so Laura, from what you were saying, your marketing people want you to do 2-minute videos, and that will be posted on social media, on probably Facebook at least, but also Instagram and or TikTok. You don't know. Yeah. So their idea is you produce these videos, you give it to them, and then they'll slap them up on the social media platforms. I guess my first question, without getting into the practical of the the how-tos is the marketing people's intent. Is their ultimate aim to drive people to ECFE classes? Is it that kind of thing? Is it truly education? Because I think your question about sort of complementing what's available online, that's like the education question. If it's a marketing question and driving people to your program, then I can see from your marketing people's standpoint, it's like, look at these wonderful professionals that we have and how knowledgeable they are, and see what they look like, and they're really friendly people. You know, wouldn't you like to come to their classes and learn from them too? And that has less to do with getting content out there and much more about sort of truly marketing your program. So do you have a sense of what their aim is?
I know the phrase was, we want to increase engagement online.
Which is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I don't know.
Have they
Well,
done
I'll tell you.
anything with other
sorry.
programs at all? I'm sorry. Have they done anything
That's
with
okay.
other programs you could look at to see what are they thinking? Or is this like brand new? I guess that would be a question.
This is new to us. She came from another metro district. I don't know if she did this in another district. She said, oh, it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So I don't know if she's never done it before or what. I mean, her social media posts are really well done, I think. But they're not interactive, or they're not live, or they're I don't know, but I don't know.
No, Laura,
Well, what
you-
I was gonna say is that I do the I'm pretty much the only one who does any Facebook or Instagram on our, for our program. And I'm bad at it. I just am. Like, I don't want to be online more than I need to. I've got lots of content, but when I do post things, we get engagement. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I post a reel from Big Little Feelings or a reel from Dr. Becky, we get lots and lots of people watching it.
Exactly.
But if that's their only goal, then what's the point? Like, you can do that just by posting really good content.
Well, and that's the question I have, is why would we be creating our own when there's already really good stuff out there?
Right. And then what you could do is be like, hey, we have all this, isn't this amazing? Do you want to learn more and like connect with other families? Then you do make a little mini video of yourself, in a classroom, or, could put together a little slideshow, like kind of what Susan said. So like, help parents realize this is good stuff, and you can get more in person. That would be the ultimate goal, I would think. That's what I would argue back.
and I wonder, do you think maybe that she feels, or that person feels, that you are a trusted resource for local families? So I'm out in a rural area. The average person is tumbling across our Albany School District Facebook page. It's families who are in our program or in our district who are connected with it. And I can imagine that would be something they would say to me. They would say, we talk a lot at class about, how to decide if it's a trusted source of information when you're looking for parenting information. And so they might say to me, and you've positioned yourself as a trusted source. So I don't know. That's my thought.
And engagement. So I just posted this. So by engagement, it's sort of like social media engagement in the sense of the number of likes and the number of hits and number of page views, things like that. It's not somebody following up and asking a question, like having a discussion, somebody responding to your post with, that's really interesting, and what about this? So it's because the reason I asked that is because then that's your time, right? And honestly, that was a big thing when we were at the early days around social media and stuff, that a lot of parenting educators were like, well, I don't have the time for that. Like, that's just not what I want to do. Others were really embracing it. And I will say that, like, during COVID, Melissa Schmidt, who's not with us, I mean, it's not like she's gone, she's not with us today. But she did like Facebook Live, and she had so many people from her school district that were really engaged. She enjoyed doing it, and I think she had a Q&A and stuff like that. So I think it really varies, but what I would clarify with them is just what their expectations are of you. Once you make that 2-minute video, are you done? Is this just like your bit, or do they expect that you're going to be online and engage? Because if so, you just reduced your time, right? Then that's going to add to your time. And also Jennifer has, Melissa's in Albert Lee, but she's not in parenting education anymore. So much sadder for us. Yeah. Oh, don't get me started. And also Jennifer observed about 2 minutes, the 2-minute thing.
That 2 minutes sounded really long. I forgot another hat I wear is I provide the content for a weekly parent ed post, and give it to our marketing person who makes it pretty. And I always keep my head down when there's any rumblings about it actually being video, because I, like you, don't like that thought. But even if it were, like, if they either got me or someone else to do video, that feels like that's really long. That's just a side thing. But our goal in doing our parent ed is to, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of good stuff out there, but there's also a lot of kind of crappy stuff out there. And so be adding to the good stuff, but also pointing to the good stuff, the Dr. Becky's, the 0 to 3s, the Help Me Grow. We use not parent model, pyramid model as our social emotional learning framework. And so it kind of ties into that too, of the family engagement piece of pyramid, that this is a way, kind of a passive parent ed, to reach a lot of the parents who are in our community, but not necessarily in our ECFE classes. And so that's actually been a really nice and easy grab stuff that Pyramid's already created, and kind of make it our own and put it on our Insta. So that's my experience with it.
Thank you.
I tried
have
to
a-
do something. Oh, sorry, Laura, go ahead.
I was going to ask a follow-up question. Just in terms of engaging families that are not enrolled in the program, but are out in the community, I'm wondering, does anyone track who is getting engaged? And I honestly, like, my work is really on one side of the district with immigrant communities, Spanish-speaking communities. Like, they're just not going to engage with posts from English-speaking white women. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So I'm wondering, how do you meet the other communities through your online engagement?
Something that I tried and it didn't work, I've tried it once, was I did an Instagram post where I said, do you have any questions about your kid? Anything. It could be about sleeping, about eating. Questions will be, you can ask the question anonymously, and I posted a Google form, and then I said I will answer them in our Instagram stories. You want to know how many responses I got? 0. So again, I tried it a couple different times, trying to engage people not who maybe didn't follow us, or and it didn't work. Now, if I were to try that in the community, like on a in private, privacy, for that, it had to be anonymous. If you have like a community Facebook page, you could do that, because unless you're getting outside the circle of the people who already follow you, you're not going to get any new people. And I've been wanting to do that, but back to that whole thing, what if I get 15 answers? Am I going to get paid for that? Am I going to answer, So I think if you want to do something, you have to, there has to be privacy. And there has to be that feeling of non-judgment. But you also have to get it out. It has to be out, like from the people in their normal spheres. So that might be something you could try. I haven't tried it in a while. I've been meaning to post it again, just to see if there's anything. Because sometimes people like to engage with those like answer boxes on Instagram, Like do a poll, maybe like, does your child do this, and do yes or no, and then publish the results. That might be a way to get engagement going. And then once you have pulled them in something really simple and not judgmental, then you can start doing little videos or submit your questions here and we'll answer them. So something like that to bring in those populations that might not otherwise connect.
Laura, when you say the immigrant families you work with, are those, because you speak Spanish, right? So are they families? Because we had a conversation with you about this a few months ago about your role in doing outreach and home visiting and that kind of thing. So are these families that are non-Spanish speakers?
There's three groups that I work with. There's the recently arrived, most of them are from Ecuador.
Mhm.
There's the Spanish speaking Latino community that's been living here.
Mhm.
And then there's just a lot of other immigrant populations on the east side of our district, West African, East African, Hmong, yeah. So yeah, trying to have education that reflects them, their cultural values, their voices. That's
I mean,
just
you
the
could
top
have-
of my mind.
Yeah, you could, I mean, at the very least, right? You could do some in Spanish.
Yes, I could. But deep down, I really don't like doing stuff on social media. But
yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing, and this gets to Ellen's point as well, is, and this we learned, again, in doing the Parentopia thing and then is that parents have such a wide variety of their own social media behavior. And so, yes, posting something and having a lot of likes or engagement. I mean, I never think that it's like a bad thing if you're being able to deliver messages that you believe are important and being very welcoming and a welcoming face. And you certainly do want people to come to your ECFE program, right? And just like do it, and whoever happens to see it, that's great. And it's kind of up to the marketing people, like for them to do the research on how people are viewing their site and making their site more attractive and that kind of thing. But in terms of like that social media strategy that is going to be what is going to be the most engaging for the greatest number of parents, forget it. I mean, it's just that because one group of parents is going to be heavy into using Instagram, they're not going to be on Facebook, or they're going to be on TikTok and they're going to like that, or they are going to be the ones that are going to dismiss it because there's already a lot of other content out there. And then there are ones that don't like any social media because they don't want to send the message to their kids about using, phones and things like that, or the ones that truly are very distrusting of having anything online because of privacy and security and what's going to happen. I mean, I think it's a tough thing unless a parenting educator really has worked to cultivate that online presence and has worked to get it out there to reach the greatest number of people, like in complementing, so many different things. So I guess my own advice would be turn this back over to your marketing people. No, I mean, they're the ones who asked, right? And let them do the work and make it as easy as possible on you.
One of the things my coordinator, to speak to that, Susan, just said out loud as we were starting into a meeting, she said, now Greta, if somebody has some great idea, ask them a question about what they're going to do. Ask them a question about how are they going to do that? What were you thinking? I mean, what are the, putting it back on the people with the ideas to, and I think you've got a lot of good advice here from Jennifer and Ellen and Susan as well. And because it is a big deal if you're going to open a door, it's like a Pandora's box. There's a lot of things that need to be answered before you can put something out there. And then you have to consider your own concern about putting yourself out there, out on social media as well. Yeah. And 2 minutes, I agree. Can I just say that? I agree. 2 minutes is long. That's a production. And just this week in one of my parent classes, someone brought up that, man, Instagram, they're getting so long. They're like, it used to be like 2 little dashes at the top for each post. And now it's like 7, 8, 9 dashes. And I don't, if you know Instagram, you know what dashes are. I don't even know what that means. I just made that up. But whatever those things are at the top, like they're getting so long. And I just tap through people I like to listen to. Even Dr. Becky, I just tap through Big Little Feelings. I tap through. It's just so, and that's what the parents were saying too. So 2 minutes is too long. I'm agreeing. Just agree.
TLDW, right? Too long, didn't watch. You know, Laura, the other thing too with your marketing people is they're the ones with all the media experience. They're the ones with all and so I know the university did something and they brought in a whole, like for the department, and then they brought in like a videographer, and then they did like about a half an hour interview with us, and then they did the editing to get it down to what they needed. And again, because media production, and I agree, if they want 2 minutes out of you, that's a crap ton of work on your part, you know? And so that said, I will come back to Nancy's point, and that's the thing about what I also know from parents is how much they truly do trust you guys and how valuable your opinion is to them. And so even though, I mean, it made me cry listening to some parents the way they talked about their parenting educators. And so I do believe that even though there's a lot of other content out there, even if your 2 minutes is just, again, that friendly face, and if you have a recommendation or even about, here are a couple podcasts that I think are great, or, like here's some resources for the Oromo community that I found help, whatever, I don't know, you are a trusted source. And as hard as it is, and you can work with your media people to do the work for you, but I do believe that having your presence out there in social media would probably be more worth than it would be work for you. That's all.
We're much more convincing than my marketing person. So thank you, everyone.
Oh, good. Well, I hope this was helpful to you, Laura. So, well, here we are at the end of our time. Thank you again, everybody. It's great to see you all. Thank you for listening to my Susan's trip to New York City.
That was interesting. I was glad you shared that, because otherwise we don't know about those kinds of things that are being done on behalf of families, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, thanks. Well, I have to say it is very heartening. I mean, to sit there and listen to country after country after country who talk about their families, their policies that are family first. Now, it's just, part of all that they do, but still, it's like you feel like your people are there. Yeah.
Well, see whomever's on the planning committee for the summer retreat next Thursday. It's virtual, right, Katie?
Yes, it's Susan's got an account that we're going to use.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we'll be using the same link.
Yeah. I think it's a